breaking news. A woman killed, a man shot, and deputy injured while responding. What we've learned in the last hour about his injuries and this shooting investigation.
Hot, humid, and stormy. How close we could come to record temperatures and when thunderstorms roll through town by town.
Then a mom and baby found safe. We'll walk you through the 6 hours between their kidnapping and escape, plus where the search stands now for the suspects. Then death row decision, why some lawmakers want to bring back firing squads. We are staying on top of some breaking news for you tonight in Nash County, where a deadly shooting took place. A deputy also injured while on their way to this scene. You got Sky 5 here over the scene of that shooting. This was this afternoon. One person we know has been killed, another injured. Both that person and the deputy now being treated at Wake Med. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. I want to give you an idea on the map where this all happened, where it went down today. So the shooting happened right here on Lancaster Road. A Nash County deputy who was driving to the scene crashed into a tree right there in that area, and that was on Mills Circle. It was a real mess. That's when WRAL's Willie Danley got to the scene shortly after. He joins us live now. Willie, officers were there for hours today. That crime scene tape just coming down.
Yes, Dan, I've been standing out here for at least 2.5 hours. The scene's definitely gotten smaller, but you can see up there, there's still a police presence here on Lancaster Store Road, and there actually are deputies inside that home still conducting their investigation. Take a look at this video captured by Sky 5 from above, and you can see the large police presence here on Lancaster Store Road right outside of Spring Hope. According to the Nash County Sheriff's Office, when deputies arrived here, they found a woman in the backyard suffering from a gunshot wound. She was pronounced dead at the scene. There also was a man who was found in the front yard suffering from a gunshot wound as well. He was taken to Wake Med, and we're working to learn more information about his current condition. As of now, it's not clear who fired those shots and whether there was a relationship between the two people that were found here on this property. Also in connection to this shooting, a deputy who was on his way to respond at this scene was involved in a car crash when his cruiser ran into a tree. He is also at Wake Med, and we have learned that he is in stable condition and with non-life-threatening injuries.
Willie, give us an idea of what else you were able to figure out there. I mean, neighbors, did they see anything that happened? Maybe any witnesses that you were able to talk to?
Well, Dan, actually, I can show you, over here, this is not a very large street. There are just two other homes that are in close proximity to here, and we knocked on the front door of both of those houses. One of the next door neighbors told us that they were not interested in making any comments, and then another next door neighbor told us that he was actually one of the first people who called the police, and he didn't want to comment any further. So people here, obviously, emotions are very high. We're going to continue to gather information about this incident. In Nash County, Willie Danley, WRAL News.
Willie, thank you.
Trader with breaking news from the WRAL Live Center. Fayetteville police are needing your help to locate a man tonight that they say is armed and dangerous. This is Zavareris Willis, 22 years old, and right now he's wanted on more than a dozen felony and misdemeanor charges, including second-degree kidnapping and assault. Again, he is considered armed and dangerous. They say if you see him, don't approach him. Instead, call 911.
All right, Brian, thank you so much. So a bit of a heavy start to the newscast. Let's lighten things up a little bit. Go outside, talk to Kat Campbell. We're getting kind of this 1-2 punch here tomorrow. We have near record heat, also a little chance for storms. Really going to warm up though, huh, Kat?
Oh, yeah. Remember when we were in our jackets yesterday morning? Not so long, 90 tomorrow. That would actually tie our long-standing record that's over 100 years old. Not only is it going to feel like late June, early July with the temperatures, the humidity goes up a bit, and so will our storm chances, typical of a pretty warm summer day in our area. Our cold front is getting closer, but it doesn't quite make it to North Carolina. It's actually going to get stuck in southern Virginia, and that's why the better chance for storms tomorrow may end up being in our northern counties during the early afternoon. This is 3:15, around the time the kids are heading home from school. A little bit later in the evening, we could see some of those scattered storms sag to the south, perhaps impacting the triangle, but this is not going to be a washout event, and the best chance for storms would just be in our northern counties tomorrow. I wouldn't count on the rain tomorrow to give you enough rain rain where you don't need water or you don't have to worry about your sprinklers. But what about the rest of the week? We'll have a closer look at how much rain we could see and whether or not you need your sprinklers on coming up.
All right, thank you, Kat. We'll see you then. The FBI is now part of a search for 3 suspects in a kidnapping case out of Wake County. You may recognize the Amber Alert that went out for a mother and her 13-month-old baby taken from their home in Garner early this morning. About 5 hours later, they were found safe in Wake Forest, but some of the details are quite disturbing. As investigators look for who is responsible, WRAL's Chelsea Donovan did get a hold of some police radio traffic to explain how we got to this point.
All the units, we have a kidnapping, 518 Buck Ranch Drive. The daughter and the wife were taken. Just occurred. People with 1032s.
A frightening incident Garner police rapidly responded to, according to Broadcastify radio traffic. When they got to this home, they found Aluth Martinez.
He's in distress right now.
An Amber Alert was issued for both the child, Gracia Salomon Alejandro Benitez, and her mother, Alejandra Michelle Benitez de Jesus, around 2 a.m. Initial findings indicate that 2 men and 1 woman wearing masks and carrying guns broke into the home and demanded $1 million from Martinez and bound him with tape.
When he refused to comply, the suspects allegedly took the victim's 11-month-old baby and her mother.
Other units feverishly started canvassing for suspects. Others were on the hunt for the mother and the daughter.
Suspect vehicle is going to be an older Monroe Black, possibly Nissan Altima. 2 males, 1 female wearing masks.
Radio traffic indicated the car was stolen with fictitious tags. Around 8 hours later, authorities located the mother and her baby, but not the 3 suspects.
We got another call. I believe they are going to be there. Female at the home is saying that an Alondra came to the house with her baby, saying she was kidnapped last night, so they're en route right now.
That was our Chelsea Donovan reporting there. We have a lot more reporting on this story online if you're curious. What a neighbor says he saw and some more details from this investigation. Again, that's all over on WRAL.com. Let's roll through some of the other big headlines today. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. Part of I-40 in Sampson County will stay closed until around noon tomorrow after this. Look at this video. This is a tractor trailer that exploded this morning near exit 355. Highway Patrol says the truck was carrying fuel and it hit another vehicle, causing a pileup. The truck driver and 3 other people went to the hospital with injuries. A detour is in place while crews have to actually repair the burned and damaged road. A bartender at Star Bar in Raleigh now facing some charges. Investigators say she sold alcohol after hours on the night of a shooting at that bar earlier this month. The ALE has arrest warrants out for 2 other employees as well. Law enforcement has had to go to the Star Bar 17 times in just the last year. The ABC Commission will continue to discuss the problems in a special hearing tomorrow. Remote learning will be an option next year for Wake County schools in case of something like a snow day or incoming severe weather. They can choose to have students learn from home instead of canceling classes altogether. This year, Wake had to reschedule school on multiple teacher workdays and even Saturdays. Harnett County is going to take a little more time to think about the possibility of removing fluoride from its drinking water. Last week, the County Board of Health recommended to keep that fluoride in the water. The board tabled the discussion for now until it has a bit more information. The North Carolina State Fair, just 6 months away. Comes quickly, and they just announced this year's theme. There's no time like fair time. Other preparations are already underway. The fair is set to start October 16th. It runs through the 26th. Tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes have a chance to advance to the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They are on home ice. It is Game 5 against the New Jersey Devils. WRAL's Aaron Thomas live inside the Lenovo Center. We got puck dropping in about 20 minutes. Aaron, how are we feeling?
Yeah, you know, Dan, there's certainly all the feelings right now. I mean, we're currently in the loudest house in the NHL. It sounds like the game already started based on how loud it is. When you factor that in, they're on home ice. They have that going up against them. But, of course, the New Jersey Devils are looking for blood, too. But you can just see the excitement that's leading up to this puck drop that's at 7:30. We can show you some of the buildup that took place outside. You're looking at video of a new playoff series ritual of lowering the flag and raising it back up. That hoisted flag, it comes down to signal the end of the previous game. There's no looking back, and they want to focus on the game taking place tonight. We certainly saw a lot of people playing cornhole, taking part in other festivities. And as the fans flood inside inside the Lenovo Center. There's excitement, but also some uncertainty with goaltender Frederick Anderson out. Fans say that winning is the only option, and they're confident the alternate player will step up to the plate.
We've got to win. Yes, we've got to win. We got to just, seal it up. We've got to win. We got to bring it home. Beat those Devils.
And Kurchenkov did excellent for us the other night, so he stepped up to the plate. We have total confidence in him, and we're ready to see him defend the goal.
This is a live look inside the concourse of the Lenovo Center. All that excitement building up, people getting their drinks, getting their food before they head to their seats, and they see this matchup take place against the New Jersey Devils.
Let's not look too far ahead or jinx anything, but, if the Canes do end up getting the win tonight, they're either going to get the Caps or the Canadiens in the next round. Fans got to be a little nervous about the possibility of facing an Ovechkin, who is having, one of the hallmark years in the NHL.
Yeah, most certainly. Of course, we know he plays for the Capitals, a team that the Canes could very well play up against in round 2 if they advance that far. But we've heard from Coach Rod Brindamore saying the goal is to get ahead. That way you're not playing catch-up later. When it comes to New Jersey, of course, we know they're on the brink of elimination, so they're fighting for blood. But a fun little stat here, they have not been able to win in Carolina in the past 4 games, and you factor in the regular season as well as post-game. If by some chance the Canes happen to drop the puck and lose, that Game 6 will be in New Jersey tomorrow. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Let's hope they close it out. Aaron Thomas, live at the Lenovo Center. Thank you, Aaron. So we have more news to talk about heading up and some serious topics. For instance, North Carolina right now is in the top 5 states for the number of people on death row. And a group of state lawmakers want to change that. They've got a bill now that would let inmates pick how they die, including by firing squad. Yes, firing squad. We've got some more insight into this proposal right after the break. But first, here's a look at what's coming up down the pipe in this week's news. The North Carolina High School Athletics Association meeting wraps up tomorrow. They have a few big ideas in front of them, including basketball shot clocks, football mercy rules, even setting up girls flag football. We're going to let you know what happens. Also, an important economic indicator comes out on Friday, the April jobs report. We saw more than 200,000 in March. Economists expect a much lower number in April. We will see. And the 151st Kentucky Derby is this Saturday. You can watch it right here on WRAL. Coverage will start at 2:30. The 7 o'clock news continues right after this. Right now, the death penalty is legal in North Carolina. That said, the state hasn't used that power since 2006. Lawmakers think they have, though, a way to bring back executions. And it involves letting inmates choose how they die, including by firing squad. I spoke to WRAL state government reporter Paul Spey about why this is coming up now. So probably the big thing that stands out about this bill is the use of firing squads. Give us an idea, Paul, why add firing squads to the list of options for the death penalty?
Right. Well, this bill sponsor, a Republican from Union County, says he's trying to keep up with South Carolina. And so he didn't say that in so many words, but South Carolina was able to resume executions earlier this year by giving people on death row a range of options, from firing squad to electric chair to lethal injection, which has had a lot of problems historically.
So let's talk about that, because we mentioned North Carolina hasn't carried out a death penalty sentence since 2006, and one of the big reasons was lethal injection being the only option. Why does that slow things down?
Well, back in the day, there were some lawsuits against it, and if I recall correctly, there was a judge who said doctors have to be present and involved in the process of killing someone by lethal injection. Well, doctors, physicians say they have this oath. You may have heard about the Hippocratic oath that says do no harm. Well, the medical society at the time, this was, like you said, almost 20 years ago, told doctors and physicians they could get in trouble if they participate in something that goes against that oath. So that's why there's been this hang up for so many years.
So now we have this committee, and there's been some debate, obviously. So give us some of the ideas of the for arguments and against arguments, and maybe where this proposal may go next.
Well, the bill sponsor said that, hey, this is a way to resume executions, and that there are victims' families who are waiting for justice. That was his biggest argument of, hey, these people were sentenced to death. We need to carry that out. And he saw it successful in South Carolina, so he's going to try to give it a shot here. But people showed up, even from the public today, and said, hey, electric chair, that's gruesome. We haven't done an electric chair execution since 1938. And the firing squad, some may consider cruel and unusual. They described what it looked like when someone died by firing squad in South Carolina just earlier this month and last month. And they said that's not something that the state should be involved in. And so we'll wait and see. It got advanced out of today's committee meeting. It'll go to another committee before perhaps getting votes on the House floor.
Okay. We'll check back in. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Meantime, let's get a little bit of context here for you. So North Carolina does have a lot of people on death row. 138 people have been sentenced to death in our state, and only 4 other states are ahead of us when it comes to that tally: Alabama, Texas, Florida, and California. Since executions were effectively paused in our state, death row inmates here are sitting in maximum security prisons. The state then spends $42,000 per year on each one of those inmates. A 2021 Pew Research survey found 60% of Americans are at least somewhat in favor of the death penalty. That said, 78% said they believe there is some risk that an innocent person will be put to death. Now, as we mentioned, this bill will go to another committee. In the meantime, we will pay attention and let you know what happens. Okay, let's send things out to Kat Campbell to brighten the mood a little bit after some of these heavy stories, Kat.
Let's start with the Canes. Nothing will do it quite like hockey playoffs. Tonight, the Canes are back on home ice for Game 5 of the series. They've got great weather. Temperatures are still in the upper 70s right now, and I believe the puck drops at 7:30 tonight, so it'll be here before we know it. The folks that are tailgating are having a blast. We saw that earlier. 11 o'clock, as people are heading home, temperatures should be in the upper 60s by that time. Luckily, today's nice and dry for everybody who is out at the Lenovo Center, because we may not be entirely dry in the coming days. However, I want to stress that these storm chances are still relatively low, around 20 to 30% tomorrow through Friday. Tomorrow, there may be a little bit of an uptick in coverage as we head into the night, but I would keep watering at least through the work week. As we get into the weekend, that's when you may be able to take a break from watering, turn off your sprinklers, maybe not have to tend to your garden as much. As for how much rain we could see over the next 5 days, generally speaking, we're kind of around that half-inch zone, some a little less, some a little more, depending on exactly where these thunderstorms set up. Here's the cold front that's coming our way. The thing is, it's not just going to push through from west to east. It's actually going to go kind of crooked and then get stuck over southern Virginia as we head into the day tomorrow. And our high pressure friend, who's led to this beautiful weather, is going to leave us and head well offshore. 90 degrees the high tomorrow, a record hot tying 90 degrees. Here's the stalled front up in southern Virginia tomorrow morning. Through lunchtime, we'd likely see dry weather, but as we get a little later in the afternoon, we see some storms pop up in southern Virginia, and those kind of push to the south a little bit later on during the evening. Still, it looks like the best chance of a shower or storm tomorrow would be from the Triangle North, especially closer to the Virginia border. Thursday, the front lifts back to the north, and it brings the better rain chances with it. So that means the better chance for rain would be up in Virginia. Only a 20% chance for rain. It's warm, it's muggy, 91 degrees on Thursday. And then Friday, the cold front is finally moving a little bit closer to us. 89, not quite as warm, but still pretty warm out there. We'll see a chance for some scattered thunderstorms as we head a little bit later in the afternoon. The main event, though, as we take a wider view here, is this cold front that still isn't here by the time we get to Friday night. That moves in Saturday, and that'll bring that chance for some storms on Saturday. They should be scattered in nature. We'll watch the forecast closely with all the outdoor events happening this weekend. For tomorrow, hour-by-hour storm chances, 30% during the early afternoon. It goes up to about 40% a little bit later in the evening. Hello, summer. Look at these numbers. Nearly 90 degrees during the afternoon hours, 89 in Garner, Apex, Cary, Holly Springs, and Fuquay Arena, 90 at RDU and in Raleigh. Your 7-day forecast, very summer-like start here. Once we get a little later into the weekend, we'll see our temperatures start to back off, but rain chances go up, and it's possible that we see a more unsettled weather pattern setting up next week. It could be a system that's cut off in the jet stream, so there's really nothing to push it out. We'll watch that for you in the coming days. Check this out, though. You can see some people doing a photo shoot behind me on the WRAL Gardens. We'll have some hydrangeas showing up here soon. I saw him budding out in the gardens today.
It's just the best time of year for a nice photo shoot in the garden. So many people take advantage. Thank you, Kat. So one last thing we want to talk about tonight. Legendary NC State basketball coach, the late Jim Valvano. If you need a little inspiration on this Tuesday night, stick around. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes. One last thing for you tonight. This week marks 32 years since Jim Valvano died of cancer. He was 47 years old. He, of course, the legendary basketball coach of the 1983 NC Wolfpack team that won the national championship. 9 years later, 1992, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. A year later, he gave that famous speech at the 1993 ESPY Awards. Everybody knows the clip. About a month later, he died, but he left behind a very special legacy. I don't mean basketball. Since he founded it, the Jimmy V Foundation for Cancer Research has raised nearly $400 million. His big message, don't give up, never give up. A message that before he delivered that big night on the ESPYs, he delivered to Wolfpack fans. Let's take a listen and end the show there tonight.
The 83 team taught me about dreaming and the importance of dreams, because nothing can happen if not first a dream. If you have someone with a dream, if you have a motivated person with a dream and a goal and a vision, if you have someone who never gives up, who has great hope, and that team taught me the persistence, the idea of never, ever quitting. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop fighting.